Welcome back to Dallas Famous Extras, a little mini episode in between the main episodes. Today we're at Tucker Art Projects, which is about to open its doors in Deep Ellum, and we're at the gallery sitting down with Scott and Melissa Tucker to talk about how the gallery came together, what they're building with Tucker Art Projects in general. Melissa shares a bit of her own background. We've had Scott on, so you can check that episode for his history. And we get into my journey for once, musician to concert photographer. And this show, Fermata, the first show at the gallery, is my first solo show. So I'm very excited, and this is sort of like a shameless promotion. So this is a very relaxed, behind-the-scenes conversation about art and community, and let's get into it. The Dallas Famous podcast is supported by the Mullen & Mullen Music Project. The Music Project was created by Mullen & Mullen Injury Law Firm to champion the independent music scene in North Texas. Welcome back to Dallas Famous Extras, a special episode. We are at the Tucker Art Projects Gallery in Deep Ellum. It's going to open tomorrow, the first show ever, which is my show, Fermata. I'm sitting here with Scott Tucker, who is half of the force behind this art studio, so welcome back to the podcast.
Yeah, man, thanks for doing it here. Yeah. I think it's kind of cool to have your work here first off, and to kind of explore what all that looks like here, and have the Dallas Famous podcast move locations for an episode or two.
Yeah, we'll be back for some more episodes for sure. So let's just start with, how did you make this gallery happen? How did this come to be?
Sure. My sister and I opened this gallery. Well, we're opening it tomorrow, I guess. Technically, we're opening it tomorrow with your show, Fermata. Melissa and I have a history of opening galleries. Like, we had a space called Glow Gallery in 2012. It lasted about 4 years. And then in 2017, we had Interspace Project that was around for a little bit. We've just been in art forever. And so I recently finished a degree at University of Texas, Dallas, and as part of my graduate school work, I did a project called Psychic Fissures for Art Gallery, which is another really cool space here in Deep Ellum, run by James Maker and Waffles. And that project just kind of turned into this, with the help of the Deep Ellum Foundation and some local property owners, Melissa and I are going to get it open and to serve artists like yourself.
Yep, fantastic. And thanks for showing my work. Like we said, the show's going to open tomorrow, which is the 18th of June. And then you're also a musician. Aztec Milk Temple is playing Friday the 19th, opening for Death Ray Davies, another alumni of the podcast, John Buffalo. But
stacked weekend, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of good things happening in Dallas.
Yeah. So, I guess why don't you take it away here?
Yeah. So we're here at the gallery, and we're talking about Andrew Sherman's music photography exhibit that we're going to be showing here until August. I think August 2nd, but who knows? We may push the date out a bit. I think one of the things that kind of drew me to your work, I know we met several years ago working for the Dallas Observer, actually, and Alternative Press. We had an article published in Alternative Press.
That's right. A couple of these photos, I think, were even in that article.
Yeah. What was so striking about his photography to me was his use of color in motion. There's so much motion and color that I really just wanted to see his collection in print, framed in a big white gallery space to see what that would look like.
So really, this is just your personal, this is for you.
Well, it always is with art galleries.
People can show up, but...
It always is with the gallerist, right? It always is kind of a vision or whatever. But no, I have some questions for you that I think... So everybody kind of knows Drew from the Dallas Famous podcast and his photography, but he doesn't really talk too much about his experience being a musician before, which I think plays a huge part of why he's able to do what he does with a camera in the live music setting. So, okay, here's some official questions.
Okay,
let's get into the official stuff.
Ignore everything you've heard until now.
Okay, so kind of one of the things, again, that struck me about your work is Dallas is a place that people have been doing things for a long time, and your name as a concert photographer, man, just came up all the time. Even before I met you, you really made a name for yourself here, and it's a big community. I mean, it's a big creative space. A lot of amazing artists, photographers, musicians here. Tell me about that experience, kind of moving from your musical side to doing photography here.
Yeah, I was in LA and I was playing music for a long time, and I was getting older and older. And in LA, that's not really looked kindly upon. People do not want to see old people on stage, or older people. And so
Old being like past 22.
Yeah, like past 30. Really?
Okay, I
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. I mean, probably now it's lower, but and so I just was trying to figure out what I could do when I grew up, as it were. And I was like, oh, video editing sounds fun. So I went to Glendale Community College, where the show, like that guy went to Glendale. That's where he wrote
The TV show,
about.
Community.
Yeah, that's what he wrote it about. In fact, I think I might have been there around the same time. Not that I knew who the guy was, but anyway. So I did that, and then that led to getting a job being an editor on a show called the Chevy Music Showcase, which was essentially like shorts before the term shorts was a thing. And we would have bands from different cities, but DFW was like probably one of the main ones. And so the first year I worked on it was just in LA, and I had this like very romantic view of Deep Ellum and the scene here. And then I came out, and honestly, it was cooler than
Really?
Yeah, it really was. And I just was like, I need to make a change, and Dallas seems very cool. And so I moved here. Did not own a camera, was not a photographer. But I had a buddy, OG, who was like, oh, if you buy a camera, you can edit video. You can take video and edit it. But I didn't really ever do that for whatever reason. I knew all these musicians from the show, and I would just go and shoot their shows for free. And I got to meet more musicians and kind of got engrossed in the scene.
Were there any particular musicians that you met while working on that show that are now here in the walls?
Yeah, actually, we had Leon Bridges on the show before he was signed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he was super shy, super sweet, sounded amazing. And so I actually edited the first Leon Bridges music video. It's still up on YouTube under Chevy
That's pretty
Music
cool,
Showcase.
man.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we got a really cool photo of Leon from his Dickie's Homecoming show a couple years ago when they named the street after him in Fort Worth.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that photo. We blew
you.
that one up really big too.
Yes,
so
that's a huge
that
one.
one's in the show, and it's one of my favorites.
Right on.
I love the vintage leather jacket he's wearing
Yeah,
too.
he's got
It's
style.
Like,
That's for sure.
serious swag on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about your music. So let's talk about. I know you kind of gave the story about what you did in LA and stuff. So for those of you watching, everybody knows him from the Dallas Famous podcast, which, by the way, has been a huge success for Dallas, and a lot of people have really enjoyed listening to it, watching it, being on it. And I think you've really kind of rounded up a lot of creatives.
It's been very cool, and it's like it gets bigger and bigger every year. And there's certain guests I have my eye on. I won't say who, but I kind of have this philosophy, like when it's big enough for that guest, they'll come on the show. And like this year we started with, as people are watching, Vaden Lewis from Toadies and Jim Suler from George Thorogood. And everything's been going up. So thank you for people who are paying attention to the podcast.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. And it's funny you mentioned Vaden Lewis. He's also in the show here.
Yep, absolutely.
In Fermata. But what I was going to ask, so this guy's the only guy I know that had played Woodstock 99. There's like that Netflix show about it, I believe, and everything. He was actually there. So next time you're on the Dallas Famous podcast, be sure and ask him about that. I've harassed him to no end about that.
I'll be sure to cut it out. But yeah, we can talk about it here if you need to. But it was nutty. Yeah.
Well, the reason I brought that up was because you've been on both sides of the lens. Mm-hmm. So you're currently shooting and you're interviewing musicians and artists, but you've also been shot, and you've been, you've played a lot of local shows yourself. You've played a lot of big shows. Do you feel that being a musician gives you a particular edge as a concert photographer?
Oh, 100%. One, I was playing music in an era where there wasn't really digital photography for the most part. So I only got to see myself on stage a few times in photos, and it was cool. And so, and also that show, the Chef Music Showcase, me and my boss, Tommy Smeltzer, spent many hours talking about the philosophy of shooting. And he hired me because I was a musician, because he's like, we need somebody that gets timing, So there's that. And then the fact that I was a musician, when I'm interacting with musicians, it's like I'm one of them. I'm older. I'm like band dad, I used to joke. But I'm still, I can relate, and I've had a lot of experiences, and I've gone through a lot of what they were going through. I mean, maybe not the current social media aspect, but everything else is pretty much the same.
Give this guy some leather pants and a guitar. He'll get after it.
Those days may be over. I do often think if I had gotten behind the camera sooner, I might have just become a director, so.
It's never too late. It's never too late.
Possible.
Well, getting back to like that idea of, it's funny you said moments. I think that first off, we have 25, 26, is it 25 photos we have here?
Oh no, not that many. I think it's
20?
closer to 18,
okay.
16 to 18.
It's really a great collection of work. But you said moments. Let's talk about the title of the show, Fermata. What is it? What does it mean, and how does it relate to moments?
Yeah, so I was trying to think of a name for the show, and I kept coming back to how like the artists are frozen in a moment in time on stage, and that going to hold that note forever. And then the term fermata means the conductor holds the note indefinitely. So it sort of just made perfect sense. And it's not a term a lot of people are familiar with, so maybe you'll just be like, "Oh, what the heck is that's weird?" Okay, cool.
I thought it was kind of poetic, on the flyer for the show, on the graphic for the show.
Exactly. So
I like that. I love the poetic nature of it. So another question, official question again. So, I think you talked about texture, and we talked about like digital representation versus organic representation of photography. I think photography printed on paper has such a huge place in an art gallery, especially an art gallery here in Deep Ellum, where there have been so many moments on these streets for over 150 years of musicians having those very, I call them intimate moments with the audience.
Yeah.
That being said, what is it like to walk into an art gallery and see, again, the white walls, the 20-foot ceilings, and then you have all of your work framed organically on the wall, and it's not digital, so to speak.
Screens. As the kids say, it's IRL. It's super surreal and very cool. Over the years, I've printed, photos here and there, and I've done shows where I was curating, but I was one of many photographers. So to see this many, and Scott laid them out beautifully and with purpose and with intention, like they're kind of organized in a certain way. It's a blend of international and local successful musicians.
And I love that. I love that part of it, because you do have international musicians and you have local musicians that have become international over the past few years, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because there's so many amazing musicians in DFW that'll come out of DFW, but there's something special when it's somebody that we saw come up. And like Charlie Crockett's one of those guys, Leon's one of those guys. Big X is on his way up. He's in the show. So it's Dallas has a very specific culture to the music, and we love it when somebody really blows up from here,
Yeah, I mean, even this picture of Wayne Coyne from Flaming Lips, I always heard about Flaming Lips playing at the Galaxy Club years and years ago, before Galaxy went out. So I think it's kind of cool and special to have those sorts of moments captured and have them here in a space here in Deep Ellum. So, so looking back at some of these different pictures, and speaking of moments, was there a particular photograph here that you had a really special moment, either with the artist or the concert? Because there's such a backstory from every one of these. I know there is.
Yeah, I mean, God, there's on the one hand, it's hard, like things blend together. Your favorite, and we did the one Jane's Addiction show, but Dave Navarro wasn't on that bill, and then I got to shoot him 3 shows before they broke up in Irving, and you know, he had this crazy makeup on, and like when he closes his eyes, it's like it's red, and it's like it's very trippy, and the photos inspired the makeup artist that did his makeup to reach out to me, and we had a bunch of interactions, and she was posting she's like, can I please have those photos? And like there was a moment where Dave definitely like was looking right at me and was like just doing his thing, and okay, you're doing your thing, and moved on to the next moment. But yeah,
he's like, you're the one that's been taking these amazing photos of me.
I don't know if he saw the photos. Maybe because it was on the makeup page, but yeah.
Well, I'm sure Dave Navarro has seen the photo. It's a pretty epic photo.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of epic photos.
If you're a Jane's Addiction fan, I mean, I personally, I think I want that one myself.
Yeah, you better get here quick before Scott makes that decision.
Like you said earlier, what is it? I said, well, all curators sort of curate for themselves.
Yeah, it's like he just did this show so he could see the photos. You're welcome to also see them, but that's not the point, really. So,
well, yeah, I think there's a lot of nuance in these and those little stories. And speaking of nuance, I think my sister Melissa Tucker would like to ask you a couple questions about your craft.
Oh, okay.
And craftsmanship.
Yeah, let's have Melissa come on.
Of working, yeah.
Yeah, the other half of this.
Hello.
Tucker Arts Project Studio. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really good.
Really good. Yeah, first of all, I'm a fan of your work. I've seen you. It's got like a goth kind of, I don't know why I'm thinking goth. There's nothing about you that says goth.
Yeah, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
No, but it's
sunshine and rainbows over here.
Right. But it's very cool. And it's very cool how you and Scott work so closely together, and you created this, and I know you do a lot of art projects together. Besides this. So yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks for having me at your studio.
Oh, well, I mean, we're very glad to have you here, and, for us to show your work. I mean, it's just an honor to have all these beautiful pieces with us. But
thank you.
Yeah.
How did you yourself get into art?
Oh, well, my father was an artist, and I mean, I just grew up with it.
Yeah.
My dad, he had a tiny little studio, and I was always in there playing under his feet, messing with all his tools, his supplies. And when I was 2 years old, my mom told me that I grabbed one of his tiny little canvases and a charcoal pencil and wouldn't let anyone see it till I was finished. And I mean, I didn't even know how to talk. I was just so influenced by watching him paint.
That is cool.
And I was fascinated from day one. But, both Scott and I, we were always surrounded by art. It was just an everyday occurrence, and we didn't think anything of it. To other people, oh, your dad's an artist. He does that for a living full time. It's like, yeah, that's life. Yeah. And, growing up in suburbia, that was just, kind of strange. To have for your parents to, completely raise you that way. And we always all wore black collectively as a family. So.
Right. I just now remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I told my wife, I was like, I might need to wear black for this opening so I can fit in more. I'm not kidding. I'm actually going to do that.
You're like, I'm going to buy a whole new outfit.
Oh, no. I've got plenty of black myself, but I'm going to wear black for sure. So,
yes.
Yeah. What else? I mean, so what? So you're an artist. You're making your living as an artist.
Yes.
Okay.
I've been living as an artist. For the longest, I always had like a full-time job and did it on the side, which you never really get where you want to go. It's always like an afterthought. You're doing commissions. I've done commissions forever.
Wow.
And for me to actually strictly focus on doing my own line of work is amazing, and to have a space to actually show it in.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you're like, oh, I have all these paintings and now they're just gonna sit here at my loft, sadly.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's a lot easier to sell them in a gallery.
Exactly.
No question.
Exactly.
Are you going to do your own show or a show that?
Yes.
Okay. When is that coming? Is that next?
Hopefully, yes.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, the idea is, I want to do things that I'm proud of, that I feel represent, how I see the world, and I want it to be romantic, macabre, but deeply romantic. And,
is that going to be tricky, you think, or do you have a wealth of ideas?
I have a wealth of ideas, and I actually have a wealth of ideas for the show after that. I've lots of things I want to do, and it's weird being in that headspace because I would say for the past 10 years, I just put that part of my mind like on pause. I was kind of like in this cryogenic freeze artistically, and I just I never thought about, my own vision, which is sad.
Huh. Yeah.
And it's really cool to be thinking every day, like, okay, what I'm going to do next, So I want to do this. And, we were talking earlier about the craftsmanship and how we're proud of what we put out there. Even if, it may not be my favorite painting or my favorite piece, I'm always proud of what I put out there.
Right.
And I mean, I'm sure you feel the same way, like,
well, I
as
won't
far
put it
as
out
your
if,
craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Like,
if it's not above a certain line.
Yeah.
I struggle sometimes too with because the kids like blur, they like a lot of blur. In fact, they'll add blur after the fact, and
Yeah.
I'm just so not into it personally. And so every now and again, I'll get a photo. Like I had a photo of Mark Rebele jumping in midair, and it just was not clearer. And I'm sure other people would have been like, yeah, "It's cool," and I didn't. Nobody's going to see it.
I guess we're both kind of like that. We both like that hyper focus, that clear.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Like tack is the photography term for it. But
yeah.
Okay, so this show's going to run, and then you're going to be able to see Melissa. But you can see some of Melissa's work at the opening, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I have
Awesome.
a couple pieces. But yeah, I'm going to be working on some more stuff. But I'm really very glad to have you here. I mean, your work is just fantastic.
Thank you so much. Do you know how often this gallery is going to be available for viewing?
I mean, we're going to be having more regular hours coming up. Just setting this up took a while.
Sure.
So we've been kind of sporadic as far as, coming here. But, after this show, we're going to be having more steady hours, probably
Awesome.
from like 10 to 5 or something like
Tell us the address again.
It's 2633 Main Street, Suite 130, Dallas, Texas, 75226.
Yeah, it's not far from Good Latimer on Main Street. So, and the show Fermata, it's opening tomorrow, Thursday, the 18th of June, running through the summer. And then you can see Scott's band Aztec Milk Temple the 19th at AM/FM. That's over in the Design District. So thanks again, and we will catch you all next time.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to thank Scott and Melissa Tucker. You can come to the opening gallery show Fermata on Thursday, June 18th, 7 o'clock. It will be running most of the summer through August, so come and check it out when you get a chance. Theme song Unstoppable by Salim Narala, and the outro is The Place to Be by Electric Ants. Thanks again to the Mullen & Mullen Music Project for their support. Like, subscribe, and share the podcast, and we'll see you next week.